what is the common fault across pretty much the female, male, trying to get to the top? Where do they fail? What's that step that they miss?
To outside of gratification and needing to get there fast. Two things I think are common across all humans. And humans evolve, like I talk about this in my books, into 3 stages: awareness, self-awareness, consciousness. Humans fail in 2 realms. The first one is they try to escape the matrix instead of conquer it. That's a big thing. Like society has done a really good job to alienate people who believe that somehow the matrix is evil. Banks are evil. Government's bad. It's doing a terrible job. So it's against you. Mm-hmm. Okay. You live with government. You don't have a choice to pay taxes.
Sure.
They put you in jail. Doesn't matter. Like, you know, I mean, at some point, maybe they'll change it, but for now, you don't pay taxes. You go to jail. You can't break laws. You can't go shooting people like I want to. Maybe, you know, you get to a point in life where you have enough money where you get away with it, but most people can't. Meaning, if it's in the media, you'll end up in jail.
Of course.
So you have laws for a reason. You run a red light, you get in an accident, you cause the accident, you got to pay for it, right? So laws are meant to create an even playing field so that rich people are generally not impacted by poor people. So a lot of people don't understand that. Laws are built that way. So therefore, they are built for the future you. So you can't escape that process. You got to conquer through it. Like that's a big, big problem. And people look at these things like, well, banks are evil, so I'm not going to go put my money in a bank, right? I want to escape the bank. It's like, no, you need to learn to use the bank, because the bank is a financial tool that a lot of people are using to become very wealthy, very intelligent, very successful. So you can't avoid the tools because you don't like them or they're not benefiting you or it's hard. Like it's hard to get a loan when you're young and don't have money when you need it the most.
Of course.
But you still have to do it because at some point when you're richer and you're like, hey, I need this leverage to buy this big building or do this and that, you're going to need that bank. And if you didn't learn that and you escaped the whole youth when it was hard and it was expensive, well, you're not playing that. So you're playing a different game than the rest of the world can play, right? So that's a big, big issue for young people, is like escaping the matrix instead of conquering it. 2, I think this is really important, and they make this significant mistake. They have turned possibility into envy. And this is a very, very big problem. Possibility into envy is a big mistake young people make, and I blame social media for that. What that means is, I was a poor child looking through a basement window, and I was lived in a rich neighborhood, but in the basement. I used to watch kids grab Camaros and nice cars and drive. And instead of being envious of that and being like, man, I wish I was that kid, I was excited that this was possible. I had seen what the war in Iran looked like, and now I was looking at a kid driving a Camaro picking up a chick, and I thought, that's nice. You know, like that's not like I should be that kid. Instead, it was like, that's nice. Yeah. When I got hired in banking, and I was in sales, and I saw, hey, the guy in front of me is a manager and he's young, it wasn't like, well, I should be that guy. Instead, it was like, that's exciting. That's possible. Someone gave that guy that shot. Right?
That.
Like,
love that. Yeah.
I see a guy wearing a Rolex when I have 10 grand to my name. He has a really beautiful Rolex on that's worth more than my entire net worth.
Sure.
And I look at that as like how amazing that this country allows that person to have gotten to a stage where he's able to wear a watch, not only freely without getting killed outside, but secondly, it's just so nice to see a person wearing a watch that's that expensive. It tells me what the ceiling looks like from where I am, right? So we have done such a bad job as a society constantly comparing ourselves to people instead of competing with them. And there's a huge disconnect in this lack of competition and in the fear of it instead. You know, it's like I fear to compete because I could lose. Mm-hmm. And instead we compare to what we should be entitled to because other people have it. So we say, well, that kid's 25 and he's made $1 million. So I feel like I'm not good enough, right? Instead of competing and saying, that's amazing. What did you do? Oh, I trade. Okay, let me verify that that's real first off, and you're not just lying. Okay, now I verified. That's even better. Like, I'm super fucking impressed. And that means that if you did it, imagine what's possible for me. Because now that you've done it, that means there's a framework out there that's worked for you, which means I could follow that framework and double what you've done. But people don't look that way. They look at everything as in true envy, right? So it's like, oh, this person has this, so I don't have that. So I'm envious instead of like excited, you know, like, and I look at, when I talk to my friends and like, he brings up his yacht and like, we're sitting there and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, this is unbelievable. And he's like telling me, he's like, oh, it's a $50 million yacht. And oh, he's fucking amazing. I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm like, what'd you sell your last company for? 800 million. And I'm like, in what other fucking country can you sell a company, like, you know, a company for $800 million at 45 years old, be sitting in a $50 million yacht, have 6 penthouses, this, that, 40 cars. And I'm like, I love that. Like, I love that that's possible for you, because now I know what I want, because through your experience of putting me on this boat, on this plane, in this way, you've triggered me to experience something I didn't know existed. And now I want it. So now that I want it, I have to figure out where is my baseline and where am I going.
I love that, man. Wow. That's so powerful, because you're right. There's a lot of people out there that just want to compare instead of actually challenge themselves and compete to be the best version of themselves. Like you're saying.
And maybe that best version is not as good as that guy, but at least trust me that getting there is still better than where you are.
100 times.
So you have nothing to lose by competing and ending up number 2.
Agreed.
But you have everything to lose by sitting there and being like, hey, oh man, I wish I was that rich. Well, that doesn't change anything.
Hey guys, if you really want to dig deep in how to be a masculine warrior man, I wrote a best-selling book titled Redefining the 21st Century Man. I would say bend all the pages as you can here, dog-ear them, highlight the hell out of it, and start integrating some of these 25 principles here into your life. You can buy this anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your sweetheart's desire. So what I notice a lot of times is that men who don't want to compete, who don't want to put in the time and the effort, they sit there, they spit poison, they hate, but more importantly, then they sit behind. To give you an example, okay, and I know I'm going to piss a lot of maybe Christians and Bible thumpers out there, but the reality is that so many Christians that I know say, hey, you know what? All these things are just material things. You should not lust for them. You should not want them. You should live a very humble life. I fire back and I say, why? We have one life to live. Why not enjoy the finer things in life? You don't necessarily have to attach yourself, because obviously all of this is rental, man. The day you go and you pass, you enjoyed it, great, but it's not going with you in the grave. So I get that. But why not be able to get to that next level and enjoy the finer things in life? Drive the Ferrari in Italy, have a beautiful collection of cars, marry a beautiful woman, have, just everything that you want and you desire, instead of saying, no, that's a bad thing. Money is the root of all.
Well, that's the thing, escaping society versus conquering it, right? That's exactly what I said at the beginning. If you escape society, money is evil. Banks are evil. You don't want to participate. Participation is key in any society. Doesn't matter what the game looks like. There's a game and you got to play it. Now, we can go into religion if you really want to piss people off.
I'm open, man. I'm open. That's why I came here, man.
So there's a lot to unpack there in what you said. Sure. So envy usually comes from the bottom up, right? So people above you are usually unenvious of what you're trying to do, right? People that are envious are typically people who can't get there, who don't like to feel inferior. So if you're a fat guy walking around and you're not healthy, and I go up to you and I'm like, you're fat, you feel attacked. If you're a fat guy at the gym and you're working out and you're killing yourself to lose weight, you recognize reality. So you go, I'm fat. Obviously, that's why I'm at the gym. So clearly I'm in the right path. You can't discourage me from that because I'm in the right place. I'm already taking action towards my goal. And usually no one will go criticize the fat guy at the gym. You don't look at a guy that's like super heavy at the gym trying and really sweating and doing his thing and you're like, dude, what an idiot. Why are you here?
Respect that. Sure.
You respect the attempt at success, right? So no one ever that has something better than you, a better physique, will come to you and say, well, why are you here trying to bench? They may even coach you and say, here are some extra things you could do to speed up your success. Like, I want you to be successful and I can see that you're trying. So envy comes from the bottom, never from the top, right? This is the first one. Secondly, so if you're going to talk about Christianity or religious belief in the idea that religion has brainwashed people into thinking that living modestly or living in synchronicity with simplicity is the way to find success, well, then you don't understand the history of religion and where it comes from. Because what happens is most times I'll ask religious people a couple of things because humans evolve the same way. I don't care what and religion is a societal belief. It's not a life belief as much as people want to make it about a larger power. It's a societal creation. It's a structural creation to create order in society. So what is a structural creation? Which means we, as a species, take outside of which territory you're born in, which shouldn't, countries are man-made, right? We decide where the line is in the sand. If a person says, okay, we're in the old days, we used to fight for women, we used to fight for food, you had a lot of food, I didn't like it, I would come kill you, take your stuff. It's counterintuitive to evolution. Like if everybody's killing each other, no one's evolving, and only the strong survive, right? So if I have 14 wives, well, maybe there aren't enough women for you. So I create 14 versions of me with 14 wives. You don't pass on or create any offspring, right? So this imbalance in society is very dangerous because it's counteractive to the idea of evolution. So structure is needed to create order. Order is needed to allow basic functioning concepts so that we can coexist as a pool. The evolution of religion is law. A law is set by a country so that you don't have to believe in God. You still have to follow law.
Yes.
Right? A donation at a church is a tax in society, right? It's like, you want to donate? I believe I will donate all my money. Okay. Do you want to donate to your taxes? No. Well, you don't have a choice because we're offering you police in exchange for and protection. Like what do the taxes go to? Defense and police. That's it. Like basically the entire perimeter can be done that way. You're either getting defense so your country's safe so you can work knowing you're not going to get bombed tomorrow. And you also work so that you know the next guy next door is not going to come put a gun to your head and say, it's my house now. You're like, you bought that house. Yeah. Well, no, it's my house. You get out. Now I have a bigger gun, so you go and figure something out with your family. You're like, there's a law. I pay my taxes. Dude, come get this guy to my house and put him in jail, right? So that's what the evolution of religion is. But let's go back to the beginning of religion, which is much more important. If you ask most Muslims, Christians, doesn't matter where you take them from, you ask them, what do you believe in? They'll have a picked religion. Generally, that religion will say, why did you adopt this religion? They will say, well, my parents were, and then I learned about it, I liked it, so I continued it. But choice only comes if you have perspective. You don't know what you don't know, so if you don't understand what other choices they are, how do you know you actually had a choice to begin with, right? So if I say, have you studied Buddhism? Have you studied the Quran? Have you studied all of these other religions? No. I haven't read those books. So why did you choose Christianity? It's the right one. Jesus is king. Okay. But ask a Muslim, would he agree with you? No. Has he studied the Bible? Right? Like, so the verse holds for anybody. Like every human's the same. But if we go even further than that, this is the beauty of religion. If you actually look at the history of religion, the first recorded religion wasn't Christianity. The reason Christianity is actually such a good religion, and I'll tell you why it's really important, is it's the only religion in history that has ever adopted its own evolution. And the evolution of religion, you ready for this? Capitalism. So because Christianity was a religion that did not impede capitalism and allowed free markets to carry on while worship occurred, it was an adopted religion by the West. And it's a good religion because it doesn't force you to go down that path.
Yes.
But it gives you structure if you want, and you can evolve into capitalism like everyone else. And that's what it is. That's why someone could be very wealthy and still religious, right? Versus in other countries, like if you look in the Middle East, you can't. So get it? Like, unless you're government or you're someone of the clergy, you can't be rich, right? And they have to hide their money. So it's not adaptive. That's why we're at war with the Middle East all the time, because it's a way of life that's counteractive to the idea of the flow of money. Because in the new world, money is God, because it's an equal opportunity versus God has an unequal basis on how the church would look at it.